So friends, it's 4 o'clock and we all are at ACAE. We welcome all the preliminary speakers who have joined us. First and foremost, thanks to our very own Mohit Bhuteria ji for making this idea implemented and a great session organized for everyone. Before we start, I welcome you all as a president of ACAE, organization which is more than 60 years old and having around 1,400 members, predominantly in East India. ACA was formed in 1960, and recently we celebrated our 60 years in presence of late Pranab Mukherjee as chief guest. ACA has crossed several milestones. It is a pioneer in formation of a platform which brings everyone in corporate world to achieve common goals of progress and growth. ACA has eminent personalities like late Professor Sukumar Bhattacharya, late PM Narilwala ji, late MC Bhandari ji, and other reputed person as its president over years. And we also had Mr. P.R. Ramesh, the ex-chairman of Deloitte, as one of our past presidents. Apart from that, today, because of the extraordinary contribution of our leaders, ACA has a towering standing in the committee of professional body. Today, corporate and professional world are facing immense challenge in a fast changing legal, technical, and global business environment. And to meet these challenges, proper convergence of all the section of corporate world is necessary. We also organize ACA annual ET Bengal Corporate Awards. This event is attended by dignitaries, and in past such dignitaries include Sri Piyush Goyal ji, Sri Sachin Pilot ji, Sri TV Mohandas Pai, Sri BK Billa, Sri Sanjeev Goenka, and others. Presently, our membership is around 1,400, and we hold various meetings and sessions. And during COVID, we were very instrumental to have AC at 11 and AC at 4, 2 sessions every day, where various speakers had joined. And you can check out all these at our YouTube channel. Moreover, we are happy to announce that ACA is organizing its mega annual conference on 10th of September at Calcutta, Taj Bengal. And this is a very interesting annual conference. After 2 years of COVID and lockdown, we have come forward with organizing an annual conference with a change. Why do I say so? This annual conference is for a change and with a change because we have kept a theme which is very close to all of our heart. That is Diya, which illuminates our house, illuminates our life. And this Diya is with a change again with the acronym of 3 important words: digitalization, institutionalization, artificial intelligence. And we have eminent speakers joining us with the inaugural session. We have our very own president of ICI, Devashish Mitra, who happens to be a vice president at ACA, who was one of the vice presidents at ACA. And other speakers for the technical session are CA MP Vijay Kumar, CA Manoj Fitness, past president of ICA, CA Prakash Jangir, who is the forensic expert, and Mr. C. Devajyoti Rao Chaudhary, managing director and CEO of NESL, that is the Information Utility at IBC. In second half, we are having a very good debate after a long time at ACA, which is, in the opinion of the House, artificial intelligence will make the world more human, not less. And recently I was reading the book named The Future of Profession, which enlightened me with the discussion, what will be the future of profession with digitalization, artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc. But today our topic is somewhat close to everyone. Today we have the past president of ICSI, Ranjit Pandey. We have Rajesh Churaji and Shikhaji, who will be taking us with some of the important topics. And I request Chairman, Corporate Allied Laws Committee, Mohit Bhuteria ji, to start, give a keynote address or to start and discuss the theme of today's session so that we can request our speakers to take the proceeding further.
Thank you very much, President Mr. Vivek Agarwal. A very good evening to all of you friends.
Good evening.
The topic for the today has been the Sebi Settlement Scheme 2022 in the first part. And in the second part, we'll have discussion on corporate social responsibility and recent circulars issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now, coming to the Sebi Settlement Scheme 22, we all know in 2020, Sebi had come out with a settlement scheme for illiquid options in respect of transactions conducted during the financial year 14-15 by various entities, which in the opinion of the Sebi was illiquid option trade, most of which were reversal trades. That scheme did not made much of a success, and therefore thereafter, pursuant to an order of the Securities Appellate Tribunal, Sebi has come out with another settlement scheme, that is the Sebi Settlement Scheme 2022, in which the fees payable for settlement is quite significantly lower than what was proposed, what was there in the earlier scheme. This scheme will commence on August 22, 2022. It has already commenced, and it will end on November 21, 22. To give details of this scheme and to answer some more possible questions which may arise concerning the scheme as to what happens to people who opted for the earlier settlement scheme and compared to this settlement scheme have paid much a higher amount, whether opting this settlement scheme would amount that now people are not making them stating that neither we are guilty nor we are innocent, but they are opting for the settlement scheme and therefore will not be subject to any rigors of prosecution or any other penalties under the as per the Sebi Act. So this is the first part, and we have two eminent speakers, Mr. Pandey, who happens to be the past president of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, a present Central Council member, and we have Mr. Rajesh Chura, the current council member at ICSI. In the second part, we'll be discussing on corporate social responsibility. Now, the theme of corporate social responsibility, again, much corporates are not conversant, not very clear as to the mechanism of making expense towards CSR, as to whether one-off payments would be sufficient to constitute CSR. What happens if you have not spent the amount which you are required to spend during the financial year 31st March 21 or 31st March 22? What constitutes what you call the ongoing projects, and this 30-day time limit which is given to transfer the money in a separate bank account in respect of ongoing projects which already have been contributed to some trust, how to get this certification relating to CSR. So a lot of confusions, lot of calculations are there. How to compute this 2% or this 5 crore limit? What does this net profit mean? Because the definition of net profit have changed over the years. How to calculate this 2% of the net profits? A lot of queries and questions are there concerning CSR. Coming to some recent circulars, in the recent past, in last 2 months, MCA has come out with a number of circulars, and the most talked about in the town is the one relating to the maintaining of daily backup of accounts records, and another one is relating to the verification of a registered office by the registrar, and if it is found that the registered office in accordance with the provisions of law is not maintained, then this gives the power to show cause to the company as to why the name of the company should not be struck off from the register of members. So this is the entire theme of the 3-hour discussion today which we have. So with this, I would now request our member, Mr. Mayur Agarwal, who happens to be a regional council member. I would request him to kindly.
I request for Sumit Binani ji to introduce the past president of ICSI.
Okay. Yeah, over to you, Sumit ji.
भैया आप म्यूट में हो.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek. It's always a pleasure to welcome an old friend. I have known Ranjit for quite many number of years. Had a very illustrious career. and a very erudite professional from Delhi. His profile reads as that he has served as the Secretary and Vice President of Corporate Services International Association Limited, CISA. And of course, he had been holding the position of President of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India in the year 2019. He was also the chairman of the Northern India Regional Council of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India for the year 2011. With rich knowledge and experience of corporate governance, finance, capital, and finance markets, Ranjit Pandey also served as ex officio member of the Primary Market Advisory Committee of the Securities and Exchange Board of India, member of the Working Committee of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs for streamlining working under the Companies Act 2013, member of the Steering Committee of the National Foundation for Corporate Social Responsibility, and member of the Committee to Advise on Valuation Matters, which has been instrumental in bringing out Valuation Bill 2020. He's also been associated with the Insolvency Law Committee, the Committee for finalizing the BRR format for listed and unlisted entities, and has also contributed on the high-level committee on the CSR of MCA of Government of India. CS Pandey has always promoted system building, thereby promoting good corporate governance practices. During his tenure as president of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, he launched initiatives for strengthening self-governance of the likes of UDIN, ECSI, guidance note on related party transactions, and ICSI auditing standards. It was during his tenure that the Institute had the privilege to host the Honorable President of India on the occasion of 51st Foundation Day of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. A firm believer in continuing training and skill development, CS Ranjit Pandey is a regular speaker, panelist at various national and international academic and industry forums. We welcome Ranjit Pandey at the association, and I'm sure that Ranjit is going to enjoy interacting with the participants. Thank you, Ranjit, for agreeing to our request and deliberating at our forum. Thank you very much. We welcome you to
Thank you, Sumit. Thank you, Sumit. Thank you. Thank you for such a nice introduction. Thank you.
Over to Mayur for introduction of our next two speakers.
Thank you, President. My pleasure introducing CS Rajesh Churaji. He is graduate from St. Xavier's College and is a fellow member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India. CS Rajesh is a successful professional with specialization on capital market operation with rich experience of 3 decades in the capital market. CS Chura is working at key position of Dalmia Securities Group, one of the leading and fastest growing brokerage house of Eastern India. At present, he is designated as Company Secretary of Mount Infra Finance Private Limited, a NBFC under Dalmia Securities Group. Mr. Chura is well conversant in the matters of secretarial and regulatory affairs with respect to capital market, NBFC operations, and other spheres of company operation. He has been elected and at present is a member of Eastern India Regional Council of Institute of Company Secretaries of India for the term 2019 to 22. And he was also elected as the first chairman of the present Regional Council, EIRC of ICSI in the year 2019. During his tenure, various innovative initiatives for professional development were taken to keep the members active and turn the region as among one of the vibrant regions of ICSI. He headed various committees of EIRC, including professional development, training, and education facility committees, among others. He has imparted leadership development trainings to various leaders of social organization, including Lions International, Marvel Yomanch, etc. We welcome you, sir, to ACA, and over to you for your deliberation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayurji, for such a nice introduction. Thank you very much.
Rajesh, how will you take forward yourself and
so
Mr.
what we have decided that I'll just introduce it, and then CS Ranjit Pandey would have some few words with us. Then I'll go for a complete presentation, and then we will go for a question answer session. We should make it, I think, at around 40 to 50 minutes presentation from here, and then we will take question answers, and we would like to make it more interactive on this because the scheme had just been launched and lot many things are going to come only out of interaction only.
Fine.
We are responsible enough for the regulators also to take necessary suggestions from the members and participants and to take it forward with the scheme and with the regulators too. So I thank you. I thank you, Association of Corporate Advisors and Executives, Chairman Mr. Mohit Bhuteria, President Vivek Agarwal, the General Secretary CA Sumit Banani, Mayurji, my co-speaker and past President Ranjit Pandey Shikha, for being there with us. I really thank all of you for inviting me for such a new and burning issue, which we all as professionals need to really address to. I very firmly believe that education is most powerful weapon to change the world. And here is ACAE, who has been instrumental in making this power, this education dissemination for last more than 50 years. Thanks to all of you. I know all of you are so busy with managing so many affairs, but then being with us, it matters a lot to all of us. With this, I would request our Mr. Ranjit Pandey to please give a warm-up session for the start of the session for this particular time, and then I will take it forward with a detailed presentation. Mr. CS Ranjit Pandey, can you be there? Hello.
Yes, Rajeshji, thank you so much. Thank you so much, ACAE Kolkata, for giving me opportunity to come and speak here in the virtual mode to all the members of the ACAE. It is my proud privilege to be here and discuss some of the very important provisions and some of the very important decisions which has been taken by the Sebi. Since Rajesh Churaji is expert of the capital market, and he has prepared the detailed presentation, so I will not go into the nitty-gritties and what law is saying and what is required to be done. I'll be speaking on the broader aspect, that how it is a professional opportunity for all of us, what we need to do, and from where it has came, and furthermore, what is the intent of the legislature or regulatory authority before what is the intent of the regulatory authorities and even SAT while giving that particular order, stating that this settlement scheme should be launched again. So if we look into the order, it says that of course these transactions are illegal transaction, manipulative transaction, and all other things. Very good strong remarks has been passed by the SAT, and while passing the remarks, it has given the direction to the Sebi to come out with the scheme, and it has given the reason also that why previous scheme has been failed. So of course they said that term of settlement was onerous, stringent, and unviable. So onerous, stringent, and unviable they have given. And since it is direction by the SAT that SEBI should bring out the good and lucrative scheme for everyone to follow and everyone to avail. So a scheme was required to be issued, and of course at that point of time, 2020, COVID-19, COVID was going on, and everybody was not so keen about all those things. So what purpose and objective it is going to achieve? It is going to settle all the those illiquid transactions happened between 1st April 2014 to September 30, 2015. That is written in the scheme itself, and the purpose and applicability of the scheme is that. What I'm saying that there are n number of cases. What we as a professional is required to do there are n number of cases, even client don't know whether they have done this kind of transaction or not. We as a professional is required to come, guide them, and say bring them out of this particular default, because default has been committed. Default has already been committed. It is existing in the system. And I want to draw your attention in the FAQ very recently released by the Sebi, and FAQ number 8, what it says that scheme is should one wait till the last day? So it is saying that you should avail as early as possible. So that is why this I compliment SEAE that they have brought it very timely. 22nd it has came, and 25th you are doing the program. So my compliments to all of you for bringing it very timely. And you brought it, should be created, and as guided by the SEBI in the FAQ, that it should be taken as early as possible so that last minute rush should not be there. And then FAQ number 9, again, attention is invited. What action would be taken if a scheme is not availed? So if a scheme is not availed, then it is clearly written that actions as per the relevant provisions of security law should be continued against the entity. So actions has already been initiated. Show cause notices has already been issued. Some cases has been decided. Some cases has been pending. Some recovery proceeding is also going on. So all these things are there. As a legal professional, as a consultant, as a company secretaries or chartered accountants, what we are required to do, we should approach, make a checklist of all these things. FAQ is already there, and send a note to all the clients and or all the companies, or as a company secretary of the company, we should say bring it to the notice of the management that there may be some transaction in our company also, in our entities also. They have referred the term as entity, even individual has been mentioned as entity, defined as. So what we are required to prepare some kind of note or checklist and send it to everyone so that they should be able to identify it. So identification of the transaction is very, very important. And if show cause notice has been received, or say prosecution or any inquiry or anything is pending, let's bring it to the notice of the regulator and avail the settlement scheme as early as possible. We are all aware that what is the timeline and period. August 22, it has been launched, and November 21st, 2022, it will be ending. So, of course, it can be say extended also, but why to presume that it will be extended? It will be like the scheme is there, and we should avail the scheme on and before November 21st, 2022. So my advice to all the professionals and all the people associated here, that guide the clients, guide the companies to avail the scheme, create awareness about the scheme among the professional fraternity, corporate world, India, INC, and at the same time, you also avail the opportunity of have some professional opportunity, and say while guiding the professional, of course, professional का काम यही होता है कि guide करके उसमें हम थोड़े से अपने लिए भी remunerative बना लेते हैं. तो एक one time 3-4 महीने का आपके पास एक opportunity है जिसको कि आपको avail चाहिए और आगे आना चाहिए, प्रोफेशनली कॉर्पोरेट्स को गाइड करके, इंडिविजुअल्स को गाइड करके, और इस स्कीम को अवेल करने की वो करनी चाहिए, पहल करनी चाहिए. मैं बस इतना ही अभी बोलूंगा. अगर कुछ क्वेश्चंस बाद में आएंगे तो क्वेश्चंस लेने के लिए मैं मौजूद रहूंगा. Let's Rajesh Chura ji start his presentation. He has made a detailed presentation. We've discussed in between before, and he has very vast experience of the capital market. So definitely he will be able to take up the even technical questions relating to the scheme, even for the other things also. So over to Rajesh, and you please continue with the presentation. And whenever there will be question answers, we will be taking up jointly. Thank you. Thank you,
Ranjit ji. Thank you so much, Ranjit ji, for giving this overview of this entire scheme. I and Ranjit ji were talking as to the why should we not be talking on some matters which are burning matters and which are very much related to the capital market. And this has been one of the biggest burning issues. while I go deep into it, I tell you that many as 13,000 cases are pending in the market. 13,000 cases. 2 or 3 cases have been referred to me because people know me in Calcutta as a capital market. So they have already come. One of them, as Ranjitji was saying, very truly is not even knowing it. What has happened in this 2020, the market was on upswing after the COVID situation, and people were referred. Every Tom, Dick and Harry would come and they say, take this share, it will go, and this share, it will go. And now what has happened? This was some efforts of the people in the market to take the volumes in the illiquid shares and more so in the options. So what was happening? Near the strike price, options were all in the vogue and people were trading on it. But then there were some options which were quite away from the the strike price. They were the targets of so-called scrupulous traders in the market who had made sure that there would be profits and loss in the market. So, and then there were people who have been given a lot of, greediness. They have been asked to come and to trade on those things. Now, some of the people were genuinely not knowing what is actually happening, and they have also done the trade. So they, again, that may be 5 to 10% in the market, but by and large, Sebi has tracked down that 90-95% of people were actually knowing, and they have done these trades with an intent, with a fraudulent intent to manipulate their profits and losses. If I'm allowed to do the share screen, I'll just go with my presentation. Just one second. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, Rajesh, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go with this detailed presentation. For the benefit of all the participants and also for all our professionals, I may in between, because the scheme is very small if we really want to understand it. Reading through is very easy and we can always go very fast on it. But as we go, I would like to explain some of the technical points which are there, and that would be the crux points for we professional to actually tell to our clients or to or the people who are really taking advices for us. So as we have already discussed, see, initially what has happened, the probing into the differential trades were done only with an idea which is the usual and a normal manner it is done. So the regulator was looking into some of the trades which were basically affecting the price differential. But as they went deep into it, see, initially in 2015, there were only 59 entities which were targeted to understand what they have actually manipulated. And there were alleged motive. They could understand very clearly that the motive was to adjust profits and losses and to evade the income tax, as the case may be. So there were only 59 entities, and to start with, there was around 55 lakhs rupees of penalties was inflicted. And gradually, as the regulator was looking into the transactions, they could find that in 2014-15, around 14,000 entities, roughly 14,720 entities were found to be generating the artificial volumes. The fraudulent and unfair trade practices regulations formed in 2003 was not that detailed one, but the idea was to understand and to curb the problems which has happened. The integrity of the market was really at stake, because We already know that Ketan Mehta, that Kand was there. So in 2000, 2001, lot of mishappenings has really been done, and Sebi and the regulators were really very much worried about all these things, and gradually they were all taken care of. And as we know, and I've been in the market since 1985, the evolution of the market has been there. There has been enduring success. People were saying that online trading would not be a good platform, but as we see that from a trade of merely 200 crores, so today we are going to any X amount. So now the integrity of the market with the growing and enduring market was always been a challenge to the regulator. And so this regulation of 2003 had come, but that did not stipulate too much of the things. So now come this around 2016, 17, the regulator went deep into the details of the trades done on the BSE and particularly in the illiquid option trades. So we found that around 14,000, they found around 14,720 entities did these artificial volumes. Definitely, it was a compromise on the integrity of the market. So what happened? Sebi had to take certain decisions. To start with, it was only maybe 50, 55 people who were in the gray area, but gradually as more and more detailings has been done by regulator, they found that around 14,720 entities, my God, were in the problem. They were all in the line. They were the perpetrators in the market. So come what? They had no other options. So to start with, some orders, maybe around 60, 70 orders were passed, and people were brought into the ambit of these unfair trade practices. And this started. Now let's come a little further in the scheme and in the scam. So what happened? SAT recommended Sebi. See what happened? There were so many cases which were coming now, and SAT could understand that if the amount of the number of the perpetrators, so-called perpetrators, would be so high, then it would choco-block the entire system. So SAT recommended to Sebi that they should either go for a Lok Adalat kind of concept, or they must launch a scheme to avoid the choking of the entire system and to take care of, to curb the entire mishappening in the market. So Sebi, what I would be doing is I may be going sometimes towards the end of the thing. Maybe I will quote 2022, and maybe again I will go back 2015, because we have to correlate what has been happening in the activities in the market. So Sebi introduced a scheme in 2020 under the SAT's recommendations and instructions. Reason, as I said, has been the huge number of cases coming up. But unfortunately, out of these many people, only 1,000 people availed the scheme. And that was said to be a failure of the scheme. And why, I will, in my latter half of the of my presentation, I would deal with as to why this has failed, what has been the reasons why regulators and the regulations has not been able to fix the problems in the market, why 2022 scheme should be taken up, and if we are taking 2022 as a scheme, opting as a scheme, then what may be the challenges. So let's come. So having said that, as Ranjitji was saying, it was a wondrous calculation method. See what happens, I will go deep into the scheme, but by and large, a penalty of 5 lakh rupees, invariably, whatever be the calculations, we might or may not go for the deeper into calculations, but by and large, 5 lakhs rupees penalty was inflicted by the regulator on all these kind of transactions. So you will understand, if somebody has traded for a script, maybe for 5 lakhs rupees, or maybe let's say 50,000 rupees, he is also charged with a hefty penalty of 5 lakhs. There were certain anomalies which we understand. We may land up understanding even 2022 also. We will have some of the things which may be practical or unpractical. So we will discuss some practical and impractical aspects here. So what happened? Sebi, on a particular case, if I correctly recollect, the case was Global Earth Properties and Developers Private Limited. In that case, Sebi was asked to review things that if the same thing happens for all types of trades which has happened before 2019, I mean, for the orders which have been passed before 2019 and post 2019, there were a lot of disparities on the part of regulators, maybe because of the unstructured and unexpected enduring numbers. So these things had come. We must now understand one thing: what is illiquid stocks? See, the reason why 2020 scheme was launched is because Sebi could expect, SAT could expect that huge number of transactions are going to be revealed. So they said that let's come and let's put a scheme or maybe local other thing. So then the settlement scheme 1.0 was launched by Sebi in the year 2020. Named and styled as one-time settlement scheme 2020, settlement scheme 1.0. Maybe Sebi was also knowing that this is 1.0 is the first edition, so they have kept it, and gradually now 2.0 has come in. Sebi continued passing penalty orders, which were landing at the doors of SAT again and again. There were no options. There were people who were feeling deprived and bereaved that if they have traded for 50,000 rupees of shares, why can, or how a penalty of 5 lakhs can be inflicted on that? So they were very, very, things are very obvious. And SAT kept on upholding Sebi orders. And in fact, some few appeals in the Supreme Court and the High Court also came. In one of the matter of Subham Singhal versus Sebi, the tribunal opined that the settlement scheme was not successful. Why it was not successful were the two reasons. Number one, the terms of settlements were very, very stringent, and it was not really, calculative. Now, what happens when you are trading into options? The calculation of the calculations of the profit loss itself becomes very, very stringent and very, very difficult. So sometimes people are, so let's not go deep into that. The scheme was again issued during the peak of the COVID pandemic time. So everybody had time, and there is no good or bad time for regulators to actually inflict things. So those settlement had come, and it was on the COVID pandemic time. So that time it was not possible for people because people were all afraid, and they were not even, we all understand that we were not even knowing whether the world will stay or not. So nobody really picked up the scheme, and it just kept on going on. And after the scheme was completed, I mean the tenure was completed, again the things went back to the educating officers. And what were the problems of educating officers? What were the regulations formed for the purpose? That also we will discuss in brief, if not in detail. So we will find that those things were also not practical. So what were the choices with Sebi? The settlement 1.0 was grossly underutilized, leaving Sebi with only two difficult choices: either to amend one-time settlement scheme, tacitly admitting that it was an uneconomical and unpractical, non-practical to the illiquid or stock options matter, or to take it upon itself to appoint hundreds of educating officers, maybe thousands, or maybe, I mean, any numbers it could have been, with SEBI's issuing notices being delivered, all legal and matters coming into place, people going to High Court, they're going to SAT, they're going to Supreme Court. I mean, lot of pendulum boxes would have been opened. So SEBI found that to fix itself, let's go and leave the things in between and let's make some policies so that the things are addressed at one hand and the government's revenue loss is also not there. And I mean, this is something which SEBI found was one of the most appropriate decision. So they were on to settlement of the introducing this settlement 2022. So I will just read it out for you that in under the guidance of SEBI, SAT, SEBI framed the terms of settlement of 2022 and it was named as Settlement Scheme 2.0. In fact, while we were talking of this particular scheme, when this program was formed out, the scheme was not implemented. So we had already discussed that these are something which are burning issues and we must take, and all thanks to ACAE that they have always been coming up with the burning issues to be sorted out as professionals. So we all discussed, and I discussed with Ranjit ji. Ranjit ji also said, Rajesh, you being the helm of affairs in Calcutta, why don't you take this one for the benefit of all the professionals? So it is launched just on 22nd of August and it would terminate on November 21, 2022. This will be aimed at providing settlement opportunities to the entities who were involved or so involved in reversal of the trades in the option segment of BSE during the April 2014 to September 2015. In fact, if you see, that was the period where the maximum profits and loss were adjusted. And that is why this particular period has been taken in the consideration by the regulator. The settlement scheme 2.0, unlike the earlier one, it had seemed to seek a simple process for calculation of the settlement account. Now, earlier what had happened, they had a very stringent and a very onerous calculation of putting 0.55% along with the artificial volumes created, because now when there are genuine and ingenuine trades, there are artificial volumes being created. There are people who actually had done those trades to maybe misguide the market, or there were so many things which we are not going deep into it. But because of those kind of circular trades, or we call it synchronized trades, or we call it 1, 2, 3 trades, whatever it is called by, the calculations which the regulator had put in for the purpose of calculating penalties was becoming very difficult, and to come onto one platform was becoming very difficult, and in itself would have become a pendulum box for the regulator and for the noticee to come on one particular platform. And therefore, this particular scheme of 2022 came into place, and the resultant settlement was found to be better off, because this time they have gone on the contract. I mean, the penalty is now being proposed to be on the number of contracts. So let's come to the further of our presentation. So what would be the eligibility criteria for availing the scheme? The scheme would be eligible in respect of the entities that have executed reversal trades in the illiquid stock options of BSE between April 1 and September 30th, 2015. Number one, the period. So, as I said, it is found that the maximum April 1, 2014 to September 30th, 2015. I'm being shown. Am I audible? All five? Okay. And now come to illiquid stock options. Now, what is illiquid stock options? See, what has been found Now, Sebi has got a good HDD, a fantastic database which they might have arranged from the stock broker, from the stock exchange, asking them to let us know what has been the pattern of the trade. So what is illiquid stock? Illiquid stocks, and particularly in the options, are the stocks which are a little away, I would say far away from the current strike price. So when there are options which are away from the current strike price, the same are bound to not have much of the transaction. What happens? There is a market depth. The market seeks to attain a fantastic arbitrage opportunities between the option trades and the underlying trades. So whenever there is a gap of differential prices between the cash market and the future market, which we call it as stock option market and all. So whenever there is a difference between the two, there remain an opportunity of some good profiteering. So people can buy at one place, sell at the other place, and then later on they reverse the transaction and gain the arbitrage opportunities. So there again, you have a lot of things. So in that case, what happens? Lot of trades are being done on the stock which are near the price of the stock of the spot market. So people did not choose those strike prices, rather they went to the stock options which were away from the normal current market prices. So this is what I wanted to just tell you, why they are illiquid. Because if it is in the market, everybody is ready to do trades, and how it will work. So this is what the definition of illiquid stock option would be, according to me. And then now, the regulator had the entire pattern of transactions between 2 or 3 or 5 or maybe a set of people. So invariably, it has been found that the buyer and the seller have the same stockbrokers doing their trades, and it is between a very, very minimum timeline. So it has been seen, if one trade has been done, buying trade, let's say if the trade is between A and X is selling it at, let's say 3 p.m. 02 minutes and 01 seconds. And we can see again, X is buying and A is selling at 3.02 at 0.05 or 0.010 seconds. So it is between maybe 5-10 seconds or 20 seconds or maybe a minute or 2 minutes or maybe 30 minutes. So within that period, they have reversed their transactions. That shows that there was a compromise with the integrity of the online trading platform. And thanks to the regulator, they could track it and they could understand that the integrity is getting compromised. The unfair trade practices are setting into the market, and then that time they came very rightly as the regulators, and they started picking up the people, those who have done these kind of trades. Now, this was the first thing as to what were the illiquid shares and for what period this particular scheme could be availed. The second criteria is against whom. I mean, who can do it? Only those people against whom the proceedings have been initiated and are pending before any forum or authority or courts or SAT, or maybe against an educating officer or recovery officer. But an appeal should have been filed, and the same is pending before SAT and court. So it is not that anybody who has done this kind of trades can just go and buy peace by availing the scheme. It has to fall in this particular criteria. Now, entities against orders have been passed leaving penalty but has not been paid, and against whom recovery proceedings have been initiated, may be eligible. They may be eligible, again I say, for the scheme only if an appeal is filed and the same is pending before the courts and SAT. So as I said, we have already dealt with this thing. As I was saying, this is a case law. It's a famous case law, Global Earth Properties and Developers Private Limited. The unique thing was that earlier in scheme 1.0, which was launched pre-COVID which was called 2020 scheme, the penalties were levied before September 8, 2014 for these kind of trades. The penalties were levied at the rate of rupees 1 lakh or maybe similar kind of things. But post that scheme 2020, for the same kind of mischiefs or non-compliances, the penalties was at the rate of 5 lakh rupees or even more. Now, this has created an anomalous situation, and it was a bit unfair. It was against the law of natural justice. So came this our today's subject 2022. Let's come into a little of intricacies of this particular scheme. This scheme is determined, the penalty in this scheme is determined basis on the number of contracts. Settlement scheme 2.0, unlike 1.0, seeks to attain a simple process for calculation of settlement amount. Now, in earlier, as I said, the settlement factor was 0.55 for on the volumes. But if you talk about volumes, as we said, it was really difficult to understand, because what is happening when even if income tax department also there is a problem, like what will you call a volume? Whether you will take strike price premium only as a volume multiplied by the number of shares, or you will take strike price plus premium as the things, or only premium as the volume. So these things also became a matter of Pandora boxes. So 1.0 was not a good option. So Sebi then appeared to have tried it. They made it a little more simpler in this form. The form is that now they said that number of contracts, the penalties would be subject to, and it would be applicable as per the number of contracts that you have traded in. So they said for 1 to 5 number of contracts, the penalty inflicted would be 1 lakh. For the trades, if it is 6 to 50, between that period, it would be 2 lakhs. And if it is 51 number of transactions or above, it will be 5 lakhs base amount plus 10,000 per contract. You know what is happening? Now, there is now I'm sure the questions would come, what is the number of contracts? So if you go, let's say you have put an order of buying, let's say 1 lakh shares or 1 lakh unit of a particular underlying security. So what might happen, that if you are selling 1 lakh shares, the other persons might be, there may be 5 people who are selling 20,000 each to you. So what is happening effectively? You are getting 5 trades executed. Though there is only one order, the idea is only one order to trade at 1 lakh shares units, but you in effect is getting 5 contracts in it. So now we have to define what is the number of contracts. So number of contracts are essentially the trades executed in the market, and they come and they get reflected in the contract notes as rows. Row number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So it is not an order which actually determines or not the total volume or total quantity of shares executed. It is the number of contracts which has been executed in the market. So let's come back. So this is the definition of contracts according to me, which might have a different opinion. Educator or the regulator might have different stand on this, but as a market person, I would say that should be the idea. So from 1 to 5 trades, it will be 1 lakh rupees. From 6 to 50 trades, it would be 2 lakhs rupees. From 51 and above trades, it would be 5 lakh base minimum plus 10,000 per contract. So those who have done enough number of transactions, it will be stringent. But again, I will say the regulator had given a window to set right the things, because what I can understand, if these are synchronized trade, if these are contracted trades, if these are trades between the in connivance with the buyer and seller, they would go in the volumes. So they might will go, they would have gone, I mean, with the bigger volume. So they might have, instead doing 5 trades, they might have done 1 lakh trades each. Am I audible? Hello? Okay. So the basic question, now coming back, I'm saying if we are not choosing the basis of settlement based on 2.0, then what will happen? Now you will come back to the educating process. Invariably, there has been 3 issues, 3 questions which the educating officers would be saying, and there are a number of cases which has happened. And in all the 3 cases, in all those cases, the questions were only 3 questions. Question number 1, whether the notice has violated provisions of regulations blah and blah, 3A, 3BC, 41, 42 and all of the regulation PF UTP regulation, that is unfair trade practices, or does the violation, if any is there, attract any monetary penalty under 15 HA? If yes, or if so, what would be the quantum of mandatory penalty that can be imposed on the notice after taking into consideration the factors mentioned in section 15J of the Sebi Act? See, I'll tell you, the orders which I have studied, the understanding which I have got from the practical world, who have been going to Sebi and dealing with the cases, I have found that invariably, if your answers to issue number 1, I mean question number 1, question number 2, or question number 3 is positive, yes, then be ready. You are being charged a minimum penalty of 15 lakhs of rupees as per the PF UTP regulations, plus whatever legal charges that our client has to pay to us or to the other people. So it would be minimum 15 lakhs rupees. So why not going and choosing the Sebi settlement of 2.0? Now, rationale of choosing the 2022, I have told you, if you really want to avoid adjudication, you have only one choice, and that is 2022. And to avoid hazards of huge repercussions of litigation, etc., you have the only one choice, that is scheme 2022. That gives a sure peace of mind. That's what is my understanding. And if you want to really go for this 2022 scheme, then there are certain things I will go deep into it. There are FAQs which have been done, which we can take on the later part of the things when once Ranjit ji also there, and there are participants you would like to really make it, or we can deal what are the possible questions which might arise, because it is very new things. Everybody is listening it new. And you know, as Ranjit ji was saying, that सब आदमी last में जगेंगे. जब last समय आएगा, तभी सब जगेंगे, और फिर उसी समय ये सभी questioning होगी. And maybe again, उसके बाद में फिर स्कीम थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ जाएगी. बट इस बार जरूर सबको समझ में आ गया कि लिटिगेशंस हैं और इसको सल्टा लेना ही अच्छा है. So an entity desirous of availing the settlement under the scheme would be required to submit a settlement application along with the following documents. So there will be undertaking, there would be waiver stamp paper required, there would be KYC documentation which would be required, and these all formats would be available. They are all available on the respective websites of Sebi, BSC. Google will guide us definitely. And the payment has to be made for those who are body corporates. They would have to pay 25,000 rupees, and for the individuals it will be 15,000 rupees plus GST. So that will be the amount that has to be paid. The application form can be uploaded, and the payment of the application fees and the settlement form shall be made using the online link provided for the purpose. I think we have to finish up in 5 minutes. Of course, there will be no requirement of submitting any physical documents. You can just do everything from here and you get your peace of mind just with that 25,000 rupees plus the penalty amount which has been stipulated in the detailed scheme. There will be questions. Of course, we can take it. Now, I'm gradually getting into two things. What can be the probable questions? What could be the probable hindrances in getting things? And what can be the probable questions which are coming in the mind of the notices? So another application can be, now the question is, should another application be filed in case a show cause notice is issued by educating officer before the scheme was introduced? So that is, for this, another application shall not be filed. Once it has been very clearly said, once there is a show cause notice issued, there is no requirement that another application should be done. They are very clear in their scheme that once the proceedings have started, you need not really do it. All that you require is to, you need not really pay any application amount also. A copy of duly notarized and stamped undertaking and waivers in non-judicial stamp paper need to be forwarded, a self-attested copy of the KYC document, and an application for settlement. However, this is what is the intention and spirit of the scheme is all about. But practically, last 2 days, people have been trying to register their case. I will go with the link. I'll forward you if time permits. I'll show you. If you go there and you put your numbers, your entire details of the case, still the detail is not getting fetched. So the problems would come. My suggestions, my practical suggestion would be that in case it is like this, please pay that 25,000 rupees or 15,000 as the case may be, and register your case, pay the penalty, and buy the piece. Now we can go deep into how the process is actually going. So any entity who desirous of filing settlement application under the scheme is required to take the following sequential actions. They should click the things, go into the Sebi side, select their scheme, put their type of category, put the entire KYC documentation, do the online submission, and then go ahead. Let's just try. Let me just show you what practical things I was trying to tell you. See, when if these things are already there, now you go and if you want to put an AO order, see, I have tried in practical whether these things are available or not. So you go to 2015. So you can always go. I'm not wasting. I don't want to waste your time here. So you have, these are the drop down options available. If it is under an order, or it is a settlement proceeding, or if it is, this is earlier scheme, or if it is some assessing officer's order, you can always put this, and we can expect that these documents will be fetched, and we can do our our option of the scheme. Coming back here, so I would like, now with this, I would basically say that let's put a end to the scheme in my presentation. Save and accept. I will click here and I will show some of the frequently asked questions which might be there in the mind of people. So if other people have some genuine questions in their mind, some questions which are maybe of very, very virgin nature, they can ask me. Thereafter, we can go for these frequently asked questions of Sebi. If Ranjit ji is there, I would request him to come back on the things and we can discuss this. Hello.
Yeah, Rajesh.
Yes, Mohit. So this is what I had all about discussing. There can be lot many things we can discuss for hours, because the scheme is very, very, if you go to integrity, the schemes have lot many other things. But if there are some questions from the participant side, or I will deal with this. Let me deal with these FAQs.
Yeah, that will be good. Then we can take up questions, and some questions are in there in the chat box also.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will have to understand, and somebody will have to help me out.
No, that is in the chat box. You can see that if you want, I can read it, but that is in the chat box. So I think maybe while answering taking the FAQ, you can consider the questions also.
Just give me 1 minute's time so that I am reading this.
Yeah, sure.
So that when I'm taking up all these FAQs, I will take all these things into mind.
Perfect.
More will introduce. Good afternoon, everybody. I am GD Agrawal. Did not opt for the scheme 2020. Not an issue. There is, Agrawalji, there is still a lot of time. You will have to understand whether you fall into that category or not. We'll deal little deep into it. Instead, when I received the show cause notice, I sent a reply to my defense, and a hearing was held. However, as was in all cases, a penalty was imposed on me for rupees 5 lakhs, for which the last date of payment of 24th. Did you make the payment? That is a question. Huh? Did you make the payment? Did you make the payment? If you have not made the payment.
No, I have made the payment.
Oh, you have made the payment?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have made the payment, it is finished. Now you'll have
that is right.
If you would not have made the payment.
No, how could the last date of payment was 24th of January. If I had not paid the amount, they said that they will block my PAN card and other things. Correct. I had no other alternative but to make the payment. How can a scheme subsequent to that come out when I've already paid? So that much of benefit I should get if I have genuinely paid the amount, and a scheme is launched to lower the amount later on.
So this will be one question. See, we are a forum, sir. You understand? We are a forum which will definitely, out of these things, we will definitely raise certain questions. There are FAQs here, which is also there. We will definitely raise these questions, and the regulator has become very dynamic, and that is why we are all here. And they are taking our recommendation. It is not, even when the scheme was getting drafted, some of the people from the capital market were contacted, and I am working very close with Khitan and company on this particular matter, and we have found that a lot of things, and I mean recommendations of that time, Khitan and company's recommendations and some other good solicitors have also said, and then SAT had looked into the matter. So these kind of matters are very, very genuine matters. I'm just taking it down. Huh?
Thank you.
So in that case, we can also have one-to-one interaction on case-to-case basis. On 24th January, you had already paid the money. Okay, why should I suffer? You are very right. If I adopt the scheme to submit the documents that we will discuss, also need to know whether any more penalty can impose. No, they will not impose. Once they have imposed a penalty of 5 lakhs, they will not. Can payment made online from the account of the company? Can payment made online from the account of the company as the applicant has not have any online banking facility? ये तो बहुत ही pathetic है सर कि बड़ी-बड़ी कंपनियों का अगर ऑनलाइन सिस्टम नहीं है तो उसको कोई ना कोई या तो डायरेक्टर से पेमेंट कराइए एंड अलाइन इट विद दैट, या फिर उनको ले आइए. Please bring into the ambit of internet banking. Under who are eligible, what is meant by that appeal should have been filed if someone is sitting on this. What is eligibility? I mean, whether he is, we have already discussed the eligibility of criteria about the scheme, who can opt for it. Having the settlement order in hand, since appeal was filed earlier, now if I select link to proceed further for payment of the penalty, then which option to select? A order, settlement. See, if you have already made payment, then your scheme is already closed. Now you can again go like the other people had earlier went कि 18 सितंबर 2014 के पहले आपने 1 लाख रुपया लगाया और अब हमको 5 लाख लगा रहे हैं, तो you can again you open it, but then it will not go in the scheme. It can go in the adjudication, ये regulation का point हो जाएगा. But then let us have some of the questions which the regulator has already put in for our understanding and clarity. And if we have anything other than that, we can always go and connect with the regulator and get the things done. Now regulator has become a little more interactive with all of us. So we will definitely have, if there is a right natural justice, they will do it, because now they are themselves at a fix. If today they have to fix 12,000, 13,000 or 15,000 cases, it will become impossible. Money is not the matter. The spirit of the regulator is to ensure an integrity of the market operations and to ensure that people are really becoming a little more disciplined in dealing with their subjects. So what is the eligibility criteria of the scheme? We have already discussed. It has to be, there has to be an order which is already there. It has to fall within that period of April 14 to 2015. And all entities against whom orders have been passed for penalty which has been that has not been paid. Sir, Agarwal ji, aapke liye. It is very clear. For the people against whom orders have been passed levying penalty, but that has not been paid and against whom recovery proceedings has been initiated, may be eligible for the scheme only if appeal is filed and the same is pending before the courts. आज अगर आपने पेमेंट नहीं किया, उपाय नहीं है, आपका अगर उसके पहले हो गया है तो आपका सेटलमेंट हो गया. You have already settled things. So there was a point when there were some schemes which you have opted and it has been settled. Now, if you want to reopen it, you will have to go for the adjudication under the regulation and mind it. As I have told you, I will one-to-one, you send me your email IDs or I will interact with Mohit. I will send you. The regulation is very, very clear that a minimum penalty of 15 lakhs will be levied. So you have anyway smartly done it. Instead paying 15 lakhs rupees, आपने 10 लाख रुपया बचा लिया है सर आपके उसका. तो आज के दिन कितना होगा इसको छोड़ दिए वहां पे, लेकिन आपने ऑलरेडी 10 लाख रुपया बचा लिया. But अगर already payment हो गया, this is what they are saying. If you want to go invoke your things and go to regulation, it is not, because you have already selected it. FAQ, no. In case a settlement application has already been filed in respect of show cause notice issued by the adjudicating officer before the scheme was introduced and is pending, should another application be made? No, it is not required to be made. However, for the practical approach, we can see it for another 15 days, 20 days time to see how the online system of the regulator is working, and then we should take the call. Where can one access the information regarding the scheme? Of course, from these FAQs can be seen. You can always click here to access all these things. So the notices which had been issued, you can get your details from here. So these things will be revised gradually. You can always see that. How to file a settlement application under the scheme? I mean, I can go deal with this, but I think 1 or 2 points I must tell you here. What is the settlement amount? So we are all professional. We all understand clicking. Let me see. A very important thing. Let me see if it is there. No, it is not being reflected here. So in the scheme, when you are going and signing this undertaking, in that undertaking, they are asking you whether you agree that there has been a non-compliance by you, or you have done wrongs under the in the market. You should not say yes. I mean, if you say yes, then you are actually falling under the regulations and you have to pay 15 lakhs. Then there is another option. They say may or may not. So you may choose the other one so that you fall in the scheme. Okay. So that these are certain things. While you are reading out between the lines, you will find these things are there. So I would request you to please be a little finer while you are doing this. What is the settlement amount applicable to me? See, this will be by and large you know what is happening? The regulator has got complete details of yours. Whatever trade you have done, they have got complete details of you. Don't you worry, you don't have to really calculate much. When you go, they will send you the details. The notice which will come will have a complete, perfect calculations. That's what my perception is all about. So they will tell you how much, what should be the penalty or not. So when you go there, and again, choose these drop down boxes, you will find what exactly is your penalty amount. I would suggest, if it is really not haywire, you should opt the payment and come and buy the piece. What shall be the mode of payment of the application? Sir, ये payment essentially ऑनलाइन पेमेंट होगा. इसके अंदर में कोई भी डॉक्यूमेंटेशन अदर देन जो 2-3 लिखा हुआ है वो उसको छोड़कर कोई डॉक्यूमेंटेशन नहीं लगेगा, बिकॉज दे हैव गॉट ऑल द डिटेल्स विद देम. All that they need is payment along with your KYC documentation and the documentation which has been said, that undertaking and all, which is from the stamp paper duly notarized. When will the settlement order be passed under the scheme? Of course, जब scheme complete हो जाएगी मोटा मोटी उसमें, subsequent to the closure of the scheme, a complete settlement order shall be passed by the competent authority after reconciliation of the records. Should one wait till the last day? जो बोल रहे थे हम लोग ऐसे लास्ट डे तक वेट करेंगे सर, आई नो ये हम लोग को घमंड करने का बात नहीं है, वी आर नॉट प्राउड टू बी दैट, बट वी विल बी वेटिंग टिल द लास्ट मोमेंट. बट आई वुड सजेस्ट एवरीबॉडी दैट प्लीज finish of the things as early as possible. What action can be taken if the scheme is not available? You are coming back to the same background. You will have to, fall in the relevant provisions of the securities law, and that will continue. If there are any other questions, these are undertaking a format. यही शायद मैं बोल रहा था. ये देखिए यहाँ पे, can you see this particular here they say I for second option. If you agree that we admit the finding of the fact and conclusion of the law, then you fall in the regulations. But if you do that, neither admit nor deny the findings of the fact and conclusion of the law, आप समझ गए, आपको बोल दिया strike off whichever is not applicable. So आप you will be on a better place. Things rest all are just a matter of reading, and but I would request all of you to read between the line, because separate case might have separate standing of the law. So I would request all of you to please read those things. With this, I will put my presentation to an end, and I would request Ranjit sir भी हैं तो, और आपका भी कोई अगर question है तो we are ready. Mohit, I'm there. Mohit sir, I'm there. Mohit, you I trust you are. Mohit, I trust you are on.
Saying something?
You are on mute.
Yeah. No, I am not on mute.
Okay, fine.
You're for background noise. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Rajesh.
Yes, so I have done with my presentation. Now, if you have any queries, any questions, any participant have any questions?
And I think you have taken all the questions which is there in the chat box. Rajesh?
Yes, I have taken all the questions in the chat box. Yeah, let me see if something is not taken.
There is some background noise.
Can we put, can we put everybody on mute, and only the person who want to ask questions can be put back?
Ravi, can you
just 1 second
yourself? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Rajesh.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm there.
yeah. So if anybody has any questions, they can put in the chat box or they can raise their hands.
Mohitji,
I think you have
possible.
taken all the questions. I think you have
Possible
taken.
because the scheme is very new. Our clients are still keeping their hands closed and they are keeping their fingers crossed as to only when the last month comes, then Mohitji will be called for, or maybe Rajeshji will be called for, as we all do it. So these things, but our thing is, Mohitji, our thing is we should have a schedule of maybe people who are having, I mean, those who are going to Sebi regularly, they might have a better understanding. As we have, see, I am talking from the operational point of view. Then from educating point of view, we might have other people. I have good connects with Khitan and company, and for that matter, I mean, Somasekhar from Bombay, who are deeply going deep into it. I would request you, maybe I will send you details. If you really feel my services henceforth, I can definitely, connect with them one-to-one on different forums. We can do it. I'm ready for that.
Yeah, that is fine. So I think we do not have any questions. I think you have dealt this question. Maybe I have missed to hear you. So those who have opted for the scheme earlier, there is no recourse for them now. I would believe so.
No, they now that scheme is settled. Now that question is over.
So
now if they want to challenge their own action, then they will have to go back to regulations. And since the time does not permit now, the regulation is very, very clear. They have got a formula A into B into I or something. So that is 15 lakh rupiya minimum plus legal charges plus kuch na kuch aur.
So net they are at a big loss, irrespective whatever has happened, they are a big loss.
तो ये है ना profit of loss हो गया. Loss अभी जो करेगा वो profit of loss करेगा, और जो पहले कर लिया वो loss of profit हो गया.
But generally what happens, if a scheme comes, one participates, very fine. Those who do not participate, and if a second scheme comes, then it is at a cost which is much higher than the first one. Generally it happens so. Whatever we have seen even in tax scheme, if there is a dispute settlement scheme, at that point of time government say paid 30% and pay some penalty. Then we had one prime minister scheme where the cost was more than 50%. So generally the cost rises.
Correct.
Okay, right. Okay. So, and one good part is that if you pay, then it is not that you have committed an offense. You have tried to settle the matter. Neither you say you have committed an offense or not committed, neither Sebi says. The matter goes. But then you are not saved from the rigors of income tax. Income tax will always come. And as such, income tax has already issued a scale of notices to the persons who have done transactions in derivatives.
Correct.
Right. So just a second.
Can we see if Ranjit ji is there? We can conclude with this. Gallery view.
Ranjit ji is here. Yeah, Ranjit
ji there. Hi, Rahul. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Ranjit sir. I have gone with a detailed presentation.
I have seen your entire PPT and presentation.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Of course, it was very knowledgeable. बाकी अभी open issues बहुत सारे हैं, definitely. And you have tried to cover everything. But I think what I can advise that whatever is remaining unanswered, that can be say brought into the by the organizers, and it can be sent to you, and then you can revert back.
Yeah.
So
question, this can always be.
Yeah. So friends, since we do not have any question, we would like to end the session here. And Rahul, may
Yes.
I request Mr. Rahul Parasurampuriya to offer a hearty vote of thanks to both the speakers for their excellent deliberation.
So thank you, Mohit Bhaiya, for handing over the session. So it was quite a wonderful. So I have known Rajesh Bhaiya for quite a long time, and especially our past president, CS Ranjit Pandey sir. So it is a great opportunity for me as a corporate law and allied committee co-chairman to give a heartiest vote of thanks on a pertinent issue with respect and giving us a valuable time. So we have a good number of attendees in the mid of the week. So we have number of participants who is joining and taking over this particular session. So that too in a total working day. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Ranjit sir, joining from Delhi, and thank you, Rajesh Churaji, for joining and deliberating on this wonderful subject.
Thank you, Ranjit ji. It meant a lot
Thank
to
you.
me.
Thank you, Rajesh.
It meant a lot to me, and I recognize the presence of Mr. Aditya Purohit,
Thank you.
Mohit, and Rahul here, and Mohit Bhuteria ji, of course, giving such a great platform to share my views on the things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So now we are on with our second session with CS Shikha Gupta. She is the resource person today. Shikha ji, are you there?
Yes, Rahul, good evening.
Good evening, good evening. So second session is on the subject Companies Act, practical issues on corporate social responsibility with special focus on. So she'll be having a special focus because CSR is, of course, I won't say a common topic, but it is the most talked about topic in the fraternity right now after the COVID-19. So she'll be having a special emphasis on CSR expenditure, then the treatment of unspent amount, then implication and remedies for non-spending with reference to penalties, recent circulars on backup of accounts, verification of registered office issued by MCA. So quite a lot of things which she is going to discuss. So I think the time which is given by us to her is only 1 hour 30 minutes. So I think that is not the justice which we have given, but I know she'll play her role quite well and will deliver within the given time. So now I take an opportunity to introduce her profile. Ms. Shikha Gupta is a commerce and a law graduate and a fellow member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India with more than 13 years of experience in the areas of secretarial, corporate and legal affairs. Apart from being a rank holder in the CS examinations and the college topper during her law graduation, she has also won several accolades both at regional and national level from the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. As a faculty, she has been regular speaker at MSOP, SIP, EDP study circles and investor awareness programs at the EIRC of ICSI. She is also a regular faculty at the Eastern India Regional Council of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India and various other study circles of the Institute of Chartered Accountants as well as Company Secretaries of India. She is currently working as the Company Secretary of Bhubaneswari Coal Mining Limited and Aditya Birla Group Company. So this was a just brief introduction, as I don't want to make there's much of a time because there is a lot of things which she needs to deliberate upon. So this was a brief profile which she has given us that only Rahul ji aap yahi padhiyega uske alawa nahi. So I have just kept it quite brief. And now over to you, Shikha ji, for things. So just one thing, would you be comfortable in taking the questions on a real-time basis, or it will be towards the end?
Yes, Rahul, thank you so much for this introduction. And what I will be doing is my entire PPT is prepared on a question answer format only. So
Okay,
what I will be doing is I'll be sharing the presentation with everyone. And then, if simultaneously on a particular topic, if anybody has any queries, they can raise their hands or they can write their questions in the chat box, which we can take it up. And first, I would like to thank ACAE for giving me this opportunity, and to connect with so many people virtually. And I would admit that this is, despite COVID times, this is my first interaction virtually with everyone. So I might be having some technical glitches, which, I am not very, technically equipped to handle. But yes, I will try and take up everything in the next 1.5 hours. I would request ACAE to allow me to share because it's saying
Yes, you
host
can.
disabled. No, it is saying host disabled participant screen sharing.
DTG, can you just make me?
So you have to
Yes.
allow me to share my screen.
Yes, you can just start by the time. I'll just coordinating with the ACA.
Yes. So what I'll be doing is in next 1.5 hours, I'll be taking you through the various questions on CSR. Though CSR is not a new topic, there aren't major amendments after January 2021. But I'm going to take you through the questions that we have been receiving as a corporate through on ACA platform, on different various other forums relating to practical aspects of CSR applicability. Like what is administrative expenses, how do we calculate CSR, now what is an ongoing project, how do you deal with implementing agencies, who is required to be registered, whether you are being a corporate, are you required to be registered when you spend on CSR, and there are several other such queries that we have been receiving. So in next half an hour, 40 minutes, I'm going to take you through these queries in question answer format. Hopefully it will resolve maximum your queries on CSR, after which I'm going to take you through the new circulars that MCA has come up with. One was on 5th August related to books of accounts, and the requirement which there has been very minor changes. But yes, those are, if you look at a broader perspective, they are big, compliance that has to be done as corporates. And the second is on
I'm interjecting in between. Please try and share the screen.
No, it is saying host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay.
So you have to allow me to share my screen. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the recent amendment that came on 18th August, which is related to verification of registered office. So if Rahul, is it now? It's still saying host disabled participant screen sharing. So what I can do is, if you can allow me, I can share my PPT with someone who can share, present it, or
I'm just leaving my mail ID in the chat box. I have made you co-host. I think now you can do it. I have made you co-host. Okay, please try once.
Just 1 minute. Let me try. Yes, I can now.
Yes.
So now
Yes,
is my screen visible?
Yes, perfect. It is coming up.
Okay. Thank you, Rahul. So what we will do is, initially we will start with concepts related to CSR. In case if anybody has any queries, you can raise your hands. We can answer it simultaneously. These are basically compiled on the basis of questions that I have received. What is the meaning of the term administrative overheads? And what is the maximum permissible limit for administrative overheads? Now, people who are dealing into CSR will appreciate the fact that, when you implement any CSR activity, so there are, a lot of expenses incurred in management and administration for that implementation. Those overheads are termed as administrative overheads. Now, what will you include in administrative overheads? It is basically the cost of employees, utilities, office supplies, and legal expenses. and the maximum permissible limit for administrative overheads is 5% of your total CSR expenditure in the particular financial year. So that means if your CSR expenses is 100 rupees, 5% of which will be 5 rupees. Another question related to administrative overheads that I had received was, are administrative overheads applicable for expenses which are incurred by the company, or they can be applied to expenses incurred by the implementing agency as well? Now, what is an implementing agency? You have a particular CSR budget, जो आप खुद नहीं कर रहे हो, and you hire someone as as an implementing and a Section 8 company or any separate company जो आपके लिए वो CSR activities carry out करेगी. So those entities are termed as CSR implementing agencies. Now, these administrative overheads, ये सिर्फ and सिर्फ only and only is the benefit can be claimed by the organization and not the implementing agencies. If you go in the fine lines, you will read administrative overheads, which is expenses incurred by the company in general management. So they are not applicable if any implementing agency, whatever expenses they incur in implementing the CSR function, that will not be termed as a that will not be counted in administrative overheads. For the implementing agency, it will be part of that CSR expenses only. So if you give them a budget of 100 rupees, implementing agency, and if they incur 5 rupees as administrative overheads, for them, they cannot claim it as administrative overheads. For them, it is CSR expenses only. Another question that I was receiving is, what do you mean by surplus arising from CSR activities? How can you generate surplus? If you are generating surplus, what will you do out of that surplus? Now, surplus means if any income is generated on the CSR activities. Now, how can you generate income? Now, when you are, if you have, any scrap अगर आप कोई sale कर रहे हो, या कोई आपका any revenue which you have received, or any interest income in which is lying, say for example, you have you've deposited into the bank account as in the unspent bank account, unspent CSR fund account, you have deposited the amount and you have received interest on that account. So what will be that interest termed as? That is a surplus for you. And what will you do with that surplus? That surplus is not a business income for the entity. It is, you have to use that surplus for CSR purposes only. And you cannot use it for company expenditure purposes. Whether expenses related to transfer of capital asset will qualify as CSR expenditure. Now, say for example, you are constructing a school. The activities in running a school, in constructing a school, and the activities in running a school will qualify as CSR expenses. Now, in the year in which you have purchased that property and registered it in the name of the organization, in that year only, that will be eligible. The stamp duty and the registration fee will be eligible for claiming of CSR expenses, and in not any another year. अगर आपका budget जो भी X amount है and the registration and stamp duty fee exceeds that amount, then you can carry it forward. That excess expenditure can be carried forward for another next 3 years. We will come to that part a little later. Here again, so agar expenses, if that exceeds the your CSR limit, whether you can carry it forward, yes, you can carry it forward for next 3 years. This amendment gives you a right which says, if you have any expenditure, then you can carry it forward for next 3 financial years. Financial years. I am eligible for CSR. I am eligible for CSR in the year 2021. I have excess expenditure which I can carry it forward for next 3 years. Now 2021 ka kharcha, you will do it in 22-23. 22-23 में you do not have any profit. So the eligibility, the criteria of expenditure does not arise. So इस साल में you are not allowed, you do not have that compliance requirement to spend 2%. What you do? 22-23 चला गया. 23-24 में you still have a loss and the requirement is still not there. ठीक है, not required. So you carry forward that amount to 24-25, financial year 24-25. That year also there is a loss. अब 2021 में आपका एक जो प्रॉफिट आपका अराइज हुआ है, जो आपका कैरी फॉरवर्ड आप कर रहे हो, अब आपका 25 in the year 25-26 you have a profit of say 6 crores of which आपको 2% आपको खर्चा करना है एंड आप बोलोगे कि मैम जो हमारा कैरी फॉरवर्ड अमाउंट है हम उसको यूज कर लें. कैन यू यूज दैट अमाउंट? नो. द आंसर इज नो. द लिमिट कैन बी कैरीड फॉरवर्ड. अगर आपका रिक्वायरमेंट है तो आप सेट ऑफ कर सकते हो, आपका रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है तो एंड ऑफ द पीरियड में, एंड ऑफ द 3 financial years में वो अमाउंट लैप्स हो जाएगा. यू कैन नॉट यूज इट फॉर नेक्स्ट 4th financial year. So do we have any tax benefits that we can avail in the CSR? The answer is no. There is no specific tax exemptions for any CSR expenditure. Another query that I received was, we are taking some CSR, carrying out some CSR expenditure activity in India. Can I take it as, CSR activity? Will that be accounted as CSR activity? Can I use the benefit, of, by 2% CSR ka limit in using that amount? The answer is no. The ministry has come up with the concept of CSR only because they want कि घर का पैसा घर में ही रहे. They do not want कि the money that is, the profit that is generated in the country goes outside. Except there is only one exemption as on date, which is only related to sports person. आप अगर किसी भी particular person को आप train कर रहे हो for participating and representing the country, representing India on a national or an international level outside India, only in that circumstances, that expenditure of training that person will be allowed as CSR expenditure. Apart from that, any expenditure which is incurred on any activity outside India will not be regarded as CSR expenditure. Another query that I received was, ma'am, the company is a very small company. Our company X is a very small company. So how we do not have that potential, we do not have that capacity to to implement CSR activities. In that case, what do you advise us? How do we go about it? And we do not have particular. The amount is so small that we do not feel we will hire any implementing agency. So if you read the rules carefully, there is this one provision which says that you can collaborate with other such small companies or a bigger company and you can pool in your resources, but that accounting of your 2% has to be kept separately, which you can claim. Company X is itself carrying out CSR activities. Whether the company is required to file CSR 1? Answer is no. If the company itself is requiring to, is implementing the CSR activity, in that case, the company is not required to register itself to e-file the form CSR 1. इसके अलावा कोई भी other entity अगर आपका CSR कर रही है, आपका any implementing agency is doing out for you, in that case, those entities will be required to do CSR, will be required to e-file CSR form. So ensure that before you give your funds to any implementing agency, you take the e-form from them that CSR 1 is filed. Supposedly, you have given your fund to an implementing agency which has not filed CSR 1. In that case, the amount that you have spent will not be counted, will not be eligible for claiming CSR as CSR expenses. Can you hire an international organization as an implementing agency? You know, any say who, or you know, any international agency, UNICEF or something, whichever is working internationally, any recognized agency which is recognized internationally, can you appoint them as implementing agency? Answer is no. An international organization cannot act as an implementing agency. Though this has been answered on different forums, though this has been, you know, replied, if you search Google, there are various, you know, PPTs available, Google answers available. CSR expenses को करना क्या है, हम इसको कैसे carry forward करें, कैसे transfer करें, कब करें, how do we do about it? Nobody knows. Another question that I have been receiving is, सबसे पहले कि मैम net profit क्या है? Which mistake I would request all the, you know, entities to go back and check their, you know, calculation this year, last year's and previous years, to go back and check once whether they have calculated the net profit as per the act. Whether profit PBT or PAT has to be taken for such computation. How do we calculate? Everyone knows कि last 3 साल का profit लेकर 2% average निकाल के उसको 2% करके we calculate. अब last 3 साल है ही नहीं. The company is only in existence for say 1 year or 2 years. In that case, what will you do? You will say कि नहीं, अरे 3 साल बोल रहे, 3 साल तो हुआ ही नहीं है, तो हम क्या करेंगे? लेकिन your profit has in first year only, your profit is 6 crores. So you have exceeded that requirement of 5 crores profit. You are eligible to carry out CSR activity. In that case, what will you do? Jitna years mein you have been in existence, say if you are in existence for 2 years, you will calculate 2% of, you know, for 2 years ka 2% average profits ka 2%, and then that will be that amount will be your CSR expenditure. And the answer is PBT is used, profit before tax is used. Please note, and please note, go back and check. PBT is used for computation of net profit for section 135. For computation of section 135, we use profit before tax. What is an ongoing project? What do you mean by an ongoing project? One time project क्या होता है and ongoing project क्या होता है? Any project which is on, you know, as the term says, one time. मतलब आपने किसको 5 लाख रुपया दे दिया one time में, and that is over. You need not require to give it again, you know. You do not require to give it 5 lakhs 10,000. एक बार में खत्म. जैसे we give donations, charitable contribution. Any such one-time activity is a one-time project. What is an ongoing project? A project which is for more than 1 year, which runs into more than 1 financial year. What it can be? It can be you are constructing, say, a road, or a school, or a hospital, or any such kind of, you know, setting up of any such kind of activity which will require required to be carried out in more than 1 financial year. Now, another question that can come here is, initially the CSR committee had recommended a project as a one-time project. The board has approved it as a one-time project. लेकिन बीच में COVID आ गया, or any such other, you know, state government, central government, या कोई और mishappening हो गई, wherein the project cannot be carried out in that particular one-time activity, and it has to be carried out over next financial year. Can that still be termed as an ongoing project? Answer is yes. You will have to make a note of it simultaneously as in your CSR committee. CSR committee will recommend it, the board will note it, and necessary changes you can make it in your budget. any ongoing project will be termed as an ongoing project, and you can use the benefit of ongoing project when it does not exceed the timeline of 3 years. 3 years means excluding the year of commencement, which means 3 years plus the year of commencement. That means 3 plus 1, you get 4 years to calculate it as a ongoing project. Now, various companies, वो लोग क्या करेंगे कि बेनिफिट लेने के लिए कि आप 3 साल तक कैरी फॉरवर्ड कर सकते हो, तो हम उसको बोलेंगे कि हमारा सारा प्रोजेक्ट ही मैडम ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट्स है, हमारा कोई ऑनगोइंग वन टाइम नहीं, सो दैट वी गेट द बेनिफिट ऑफ 3 years. तो उसको आप कब मानोगे कि वो कमेंस हो गया? There are entities, what they will do is to take the benefit of 3 years, कि आप 3 financial year तक उस खर्चे को आप कर सकते हो, उस प्रोजेक्ट को आप उसको आप टर्म कैरी फॉरवर्ड कर सकते हो. तो व्हाट दे विल डू इज इसको 31 मार्च को दे विल से कि हमारा ये ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट है. तो किस साल में आप उसको मानोगे? व्हाट विल बी द ट्रिगर पॉइंट दैट द प्रोजेक्ट हैज कमेंस्ड? आइदर you have issued any work order, or you have awarded any contract, or you have given any such kind of handing out of any such kind of execution order to an implementing agency or to it yourself. In that case only it will be termed as your ongoing project has commenced. We have already discussed what is the maximum permissible time period, which is 3 plus 1 financial years. In no circumstances, please note that in no circumstances you can carry it forward in the 5th financial year. So you only have 3 plus 1. You do not have any such option of carrying it forward in the 5th financial year. एक खाली आप एग्जाम मतलब एक एक्सेप्शन ले सकते हो कि MCA might come up with some clarification or some circular which is again a question mark कि उसको carry forward कर दे in unforeseen circumstances. But presently there is no such clarification or any such notification from MCA in this regard. Can ongoing projects be implemented through implementing agencies? The answer is yes. Once you approve a project as an ongoing project and the board gives a contract or a tender or a work order to any XYZ NGO or a charitable institution or a Section 8 company or any other company for carrying it out, in that case, that implementing agency can also take up ongoing projects. You have X amount allocated, for a particular fund. So can you use it for any other fund? The answer is yes. The budget outlay dedicated for one project can be used against another project, for which the CSR committee has to record it. You have to take note of it and the board has to take note of it. How will you treat the unspent CSR amount? There can be only 2 options. One is ongoing project, the other is not ongoing project or a one-time project or something which is carried out in one FY. So what will you do? अगर आपका कोई ongoing project है जिसका आप expenditure नहीं कर पाए हो, तो फाइनेंशियल ईयर एंड होने के 30 डेज में आप उसको अनस्पेंड सीएसआर अकाउंट में आप डाल दीजिए. सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस एकदम अपनी भाषा में. आपके 31 मार्च है, आपके अमाउंट है X, आपका अमाउंट है Y. आपका एक है ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट्स, एक है अदर देन ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट्स. ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट्स का अगर अनस्पेंड अमाउंट बच रहा है तो आप उसको 30 डेज में अनस्पेंड सीएसआर अकाउंट में बैंक अकाउंट खोल के आप डाल दीजिए. अगर आपका other than ongoing projects है तो you have time for another 6 months. माना 31st March का amount है, you can use it till 30th September 2022 to deposit into any fund prescribed by the ministry. Schedule 7 में there are 6 or 7 funds wherein you can deposit. The mistake, in one of my known organizations, what they have done this year is, if you check that fund, Chief Minister Relief Fund is not there. So I would request, please go through those, scheduled fund. Okay, in what funds you can deposit that amount. Prime Minister Relief Fund is there. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Kosh Abhiyan is there. So if you, other than those prescribed funds, आप किसी another fund में अगर आप deposit कर दे रहे हैं, so that amount is not eligible. You cannot claim that amount. Okay. This is कि अगर आपका CSR obligation है कोई amount का और आपने उसको use नहीं किया है, आपने 6 months के बाद उसको Schedule 7 के जो funds है उसमें transfer कर दिया. So 30th September को you have not done it, on 1st October or 3rd October you have done it. 2nd October को तो of course you cannot make a bank transfer, but 1st October को और 3rd October को which you have done. So will that be considered as a due compliance? The answer is the compliance is done. Yes, okay. But because you have not deposited that amount in 6 months, because you have failed to fulfill the obligation, in that case, आपके पास जो भी penalty आएगी, वो आपको bear करनी पड़ेगी. And yes, do not forget, if you make any such non-compliance, the adequate disclosure in the board report and annual report has to be there. Okay. So, one question I got was कि company के पास other than, ongoing project का fund है. Other than ongoing का fund है, so, they said कि हमारा इस साल का जो expenditure है, you have to deposit, say, 500 rupees in the Pradhan Mantri Relief Yojana, in the relief fund. इस साल का आपका CSR budget is 1000 rupees. So what you will say is, you will understand this, कि हम इस साल in the period ending, beginning from 1st April till 30th September, आपका 1000 का जो limit है for this FI, आप लास्ट FI में यूज करके आप पहले वो इस साल का कर दोगे, एंड 30th सितंबर को आपका टाइम पीरियड है, तो आप 30th सितंबर को बैंक अकाउंट में डिपॉजिट कर दोगे. वेरी गुड. द कंप्लायंस इज डन, आई एग्री, बट दैट इज नॉट अ लॉ विच इज स्टेटेड. दैट इज नॉट एज पर लॉ. एज पर लॉ आपको क्या करना है, पहले फंड ट्रांसफर करना है अपना, पहले यू हैव टू मीट योर एग्जिस्टिंग ऑब्लिगेशन, एंड देन आप existing obligation of last FI, and then इस FI में जो आपका requirement है आप उसको spend करेंगे. You have made a particular, you've hired an implementing agency, and you have given them the fund कि आप इसको spend, you spend it on our behalf, and at the end of financial year they say, or after some time they say we have done it. What proof you have? How will you say कि implementing agency को हम पैसा दे दिए, तो whether they have used it or not, वो खर्चा किए हैं कि नहीं किए हैं, कि आपका पैसा वो किसी और organization में दे दिए हैं? How will you know? How will you know whether they have done it for yourself? The answer is, you being an entity, it is your responsibility to find out कि आपका पैसा, आप the area, the fund for which you have given it to the implementing agency, उन्होंने वो fund use किया है कि नहीं किया है. Take a utilization certificate from them. Go and visit the project. Do it yourself. Go and check. Be fully compliant कि we have done it. जो जिस purpose के लिए हमने वो पैसा दिया है, वो implementing agency ने वो use किया है कि नहीं. Do not forget to take a utilization certificate from them. There can be an example wherein as on date of 31st March, उन्होंने अपना मान लीजिए कोई, they have given, they have not been able to, generate, say उनका कोई bill नहीं आया, या they are yet to receive a bill from their contractors or any such kind of things. But if you take a utilization certificate from them pending the bills for this project, which can later come in April, those such kind of bills are also eligible and can be used in the previous FY. You have say 4, 5, 2, 3 multiple ongoing projects. So do you need to open separate unspent CSR account for all such ongoing projects? The answer is no. For each, you can open one unspent account for one financial year and pool it in for all the funds. Now, for next financial year, you will be required to open a separate fund, because आपका ongoing fund तो 3 साल के लिए चलेगा, वो आप उस account को आप next 3 साल के लिए use करोगे, तो अगर आप second year में भी उसमें पैसा डाल दोगे, so then how will you account that FIFO compliance is not done here, that FIFO concept is not applicable for CSR. You will have to open another bank account for the next FI for that, for next 3 years. This, yes, everyone knows, but there are questions. के unspent CSR account में we have 10 crores, 5 crores, 30 lakhs, 50 lakhs. उस account को उसमें पैसा पड़ा हुआ है, madam. अभी तो question अभी अपना ongoing project, is not there. We might, require it after 6 months. So can we use that amount for our business purposes? We will again deposit when, there is a need. So is that allowed? The answer is no. That is not allowed. Once you deposit in any unspent CSR account, that amount will only and only be used for जिस purpose के लिए आपने वो पैसा डाला है. For ongoing projects अगर आपने वो पैसा डाला है, तो वो उसी के लिए ही use होगा. This is all about CSR queries that I have got recently. If you have anything else related to CSR, you may ask. Any queries on CSR?
Participants can unmute themselves and they can ask.
If you have any queries, such, any practical queries on CSR, one queries that I received was, which we have also faced, कि हमने local जो हमारा DM होता है, local district, जो collector या जो भी होता है, local agency आप उसमें करते हो. You have given that your fund to that XYZ office. So how do we take can we take a compliance certificate from them? Answer is yes. You have given them the amount. So go back to them, ask if we need to do our compliance, ask them, go to them and tell them, please give us a utilization certificate, because failing which you will not be eligible to claim. आप किसी XYZ political party को अगर आप satisfy कर रहे हो, अगर आपका compliance नहीं हो रहा है, in that case you fail to do that compliance of section 135. So I guess you have no such queries. What I will do is, now I'm going to take you to the notification. The 2 notifications, is my screen visible, Rahul? Okay. So I'm going to take you to the 2 notifications that has recently come. One was on, 5th of August, and another one is on, one was on 5th of August, and another one was on 18th of August. Very small change. Very small change. If you see, पहले क्या था? The change is in rule 3.1. If you see clearly, earlier it was the books of account and other relevant books and papers maintained in the electronic mode shall remain accessible in India so as to be usable for subsequent reference. This was pehle. What is the amendment? The amendment is the books of account and other relevant books and papers maintained in the electronic mode shall remain accessible in India at all times. ये क्यों आया? why this change had come? Why, the question is, इतना small change, पता नहीं ministry फालतू में हम लोगों को compliance बढ़ा देती है, but at all times has actually increased a lot of compliance on the organizations. If you check, आपको पहले क्या था कि आप मतलब it has to be remain accessible. Time period was not mentioned. पहले क्या करते थे, आप अपना एनुअल अकाउंट्स अपलोड कर दिए वेबसाइट में या कहीं पर भी आपको जहां मेंटेन करना है, एंड आप उसको 3 महीना बाद आप उसको हटा दिए. What management used to do was they used to remove it. So अगर आपको लेटर ऑन किसी भी एजेंसी को अगर वो डेटा चेक करना है तो वो कर नहीं पाता था. कैसे करेगा? Because data is not available. So this amendment had come. Next, in rule 3.2, there is no change. In rule 3.3 also, 3.4 is. If you check the rule 3.5, rule 3.5, if you see, there is just a very minute change. अगर आप नॉर्मली अगर आप पढ़ने का कोशिश करोगे तो आपको मिलेगा भी नहीं. Earlier it was, there shall be a proper system for storage, retrieval, display of printout of electronic records, which your audit committee recommends and your board may find it appropriate. Provided that the backup of books of accounts and other books and papers of the company maintained in the electronic mode, including any place outside India, agar aapka koi hai, which is available on your server on a periodic basis. So I'm emphasizing on the word. It was earlier, it was periodic basis. What is periodic? It is upon you. Aap quarterly समझ लो, आप half yearly समझ लो, आप monthly समझ लो, weekly समझ लो, fortnightly समझ लो. So there was no such clarification. Now, after this amendment, the clarification is कि आपका ये जो backup है, this has to be available in your servers on a daily basis. So you have to take a backup not quarterly, but on a daily basis. That backup has to be there. What was the idea behind it? The idea was to make sure that the financial and key operational details of businesses are available for authorities, for their check. So there can be an increased monitoring that regulatory agencies, for better compliances. This has come up. Okay. Another addition that had come is the company shall intimate. This is in rule 3.6. A very, one-liner has been added. If you check, point number A, B, C, D are same. There is no change. An addition has been made in point number E, which says where the service provider is located outside India. If you, people who have filed, or are in the process of filing, AOC 4, they will find if you say your financial statement, you are maintaining it on electronic mode, you are maintaining it in electronic mode. In that case, you have to give the name of your service provider, the internet protocol address of service provider, the location, and the books of accounts. अगर आप cloud में maintain कर रहे हो तो उन सब का details आपको देना है. अगर आपका कोई service provider अगर outside India है आपका, तो उसका आपको details देना है, which is name and address, जो उसको control कर रहा है, उस books of accounts को control कर रहा है in India. So you might be having any entity which is controlling your accounts outside India, but India में कौन कर रहा है, आपको उसका details आपको देना होगा. This was all about that amendment that came on 5th August. The other one that came on 18th August is related to verification of registered office, physical verification of registered office. Okay. This amendment, why this amendment had come, if you go do a little background check or a research on this, you will find that earlier जो section था, rule number section 12 subsection 9, उसमें क्या था कि ROC को पावर दिया था कि आप जाके उसको physically verify कर सकते, but there were no rules. This amendment will by MCA will enable ROCs an absolute and unconditional power to go and physically verify the registered office of the company registered with MCA. जो earlier section था, उसमें there was this power, but जो functional और जो specific rules थे, they were missing. Post this amendment, ROCs can now, they are free to go and visit the registered office. And अगर उनको लग रहा है कि कोई, the business is not operational और कोई fictitious activities चल रही हैं और कोई भी XYZ उनका अगर understanding में ये होगा कि हम कोई notice भेजेंगे कंपनी को नहीं मिलेगी या there are on one location there are say 1000 companies registered, so the ROC has reasons to believe and then they can go and physically verify. What is this change that has come? Existing provision क्या है? The existing provision is a company shall within 30 days of its incorporation and at all times thereafter have a registered office capable of receiving and acknowledging all communications and notices as may be addressed to it. This is the existing provision. And existing provision of section 12 subsection 9 says, if the registrar has reasonable cause to believe that the company is not carrying on any business or operation. So let's understand this. If this section has nothing to do with incorporation of the companies, because it is come as the amendment hai, after sections, it is related to section 12 subsection 9. It says, believe that the company is not carrying on any business or operations. Incorporation ke time par the company is not carrying on any business. So this rule has come कि आपका incorporation के बाद, maybe after 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, when the ROC has reasons to believe that you are not carrying on any operations, he may cause a physical verification. What is this new rule? अगर उनको पता चलेगा कि वो आपके ऑफिस में आएंगे, 2 आदमी का विटनेस लेंगे, अगर उनको if they need, they can take the help of local police station to come and check. What they can do is, आपने जो MCA में documents file किया है, they'll bring that with them and they will check कि simultaneously आपने NOC दिया है या जो आपने agreement file किया है या जो आपने rent agreement दे रहे हैं या कुछ भी जो documents attach कर रहे हैं उसके साथ में board resolution आप दे रहे हैं, that has उसको physically verify करने आएंगे. So MCA officials will have a right to come and see your documents physically. If you remember, a few years back, I think 3 years back, there was this form that had come, active, wherein the company secretaries or the person in charge, jiski photograph खींच कर nameplate के संग में you had to upload. It is, you can say that was, I guess, rule 25A. This new rule permits the MCA officials to come and click pictures of your notice board, of your premises कि आप जो बता रहे हैं, जो आप स्टेट कर रहे हैं कि इज योर रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस, वो रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस कहलाने योग्य है भी कि नहीं, कि कहां पर कुछ नहीं है, दैट इज क्लोज शटर्स एंड यू हैव क्लेम्ड इट योर रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस. वंस द आरओसी ऑफिशियल्स कम, वो जैसे होता है ना कि कोई आपके पास आ रहा है तो आपसे क्या 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 लेगा, आपसे नोटिंग करेगा. See, let's understand this. Why did ROC had come up with this change? They had come up with this change because उनको पावर तो दिया था, but क्योंकि रूल्स में प्रोसीजर प्रिस्क्राइब नहीं था, तो MCA itself felt कि MCA officials might misuse their power and position. They may misuse their position in their own personal advantage and exploit the organizations. So now, after these rules, there is this clarification that has come कि MCA officials आएगा, वो क्या report में लिखेगा? They will write the name and the SIN of the company, the latest address that is available as per MCA. उनके पास अगर कोई ऑथराइजेशन लेटर ROC से इश्यू करके जो जिसके लिए वो लाए हैं चेकिंग फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन, दैट लेटर दे विल ब्रिंग, द डेट एंड टाइम ऑफ देयर फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन, लोकेशन, अगर कोई लैंडमार्क इफ इट इज अवेलेबल देन दे विल पुट दैट डिटेल्स. When they are visiting your office, who is available at that time? The name, the entire details of that gentleman or the female that is sitting there, the front office, the receptionist, XYZ, जो भी आपका available है. अगर आपकी multiple organizations in one locations है, तो then relationship with that XYZ company and any other thing which they feel need to be registered or recorded, they can record it. And they will attach the documents, what they had taken, what you have uploaded on MCA website, उसका एक कॉपी आपसे भी वो यहाँ आके लेंगे. What happens if on physical verification, if it is found that the organization is not capable of receiving and acknowledging all communications, what will happen then? The registrar will go back, वो एक पूरा नोटिस बना के आपको क्या करेगा, एक नोटिस भेज देगा to the organization and to all directors as per MCA list available, कि वो that your name of the company will be removed from the registrar of companies, and if they have to represent anything, तो 30 days में आप इस नोटिस में आप आंसर दे दो. MCA will send it physically. अभी physically आपके पास भेजा और आपका शटर डला हुआ है, there is nobody to receive it. In any case, you will not receive it. And if you have physically, अगर आपका presence है, then in that case, you will be able to answer them back कि हमारा available है. अगर if within 30 days, if you are not able to reply them, then as per section 248, your name of the company will be removed. So this is all about, the two clarifications that MCA had come up. This verification that MCA had come up, this physical verification, this move will enable the stakeholders, which is like, the banks, the creditors or government authorities, to reach the authenticated registered office or communication address of the company and to timely send the communication notice to the company to curb the practice of giving false addresses or non-operational office addresses and reduce the chances of excuses which the organizations give to non-receipts of documents. So this has come up with for that purposes. So this is all I have to say. And if you have any queries, you may please take it up. Rahul?
Yes.
If you have any queries, you may please take it up.
I think in the chat box, we don't have any query as such because you have covered it extensively. So maybe if the participants, if they can directly, I'll request them if they have any query with respect to the subject or even the CSR which she has covered earlier. So they can just unmute themselves. Or I think you can take the queries towards the end. So we'll do that way. You can just complete at a stretch your session. Then towards the end,
mine is already, Rahul, I had 3 topics and I have already covered. So if you have anything, I can't see you.
So you have to just stop the screen sharing. I think then.
1 minute. Where is it? 1 minute.
Yes, now I think your screen sharing is.
See you.
I think she has left the meeting. I'll just check with her.
Okay, I was actually trying to exit, so wo pura Zoom exit ho gaya.
Yes.
My lack of, technology. Sorry,
Okay.
apologies for that.
No,
So I
no.
guess there are no queries, and I'm through with my part of presentation. So thank you everyone. Thank you AC. Thank you Sumit Bhaiya. Thank you Vivek ji. Thank you Rahul. Thank you Ranjit ji, Chura ji for giving me this opportunity, and I hope I have been able to provide. I have been able to provide the the due deliberation that I am required. Thank you so
I
much.
think Rajesh Bhaiya wants to add something. Mr. Rajesh.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, please. Boliye.
Yes, so do you want to add something?
It has been great, and Shikha has always been very, very critical on the issues he's dealing with. Nothing much to add here.
So that was quite well. So I think I now have an opportunity on behalf of ACA to propose a vote of thanks. So it has been a quite crisp and wonderful deliberation. Already it is half 6:30. We are near to 6:30. So participants have taken much of from the president as well as our ex-regional council chairman of the EIRC ICSI, Mr. Rajesh Chura. So it was quite a wonderful, and you have deliberated well upon the CSR, because CSR has always been a hot topic in and around amongst the professional, both the CA and the chartered accountant and the company secretaries. So the nitty-gritties which you have covered with respect to the unspent amount lying in the topics, and most specifically, I want to say that you have covered it in a question answer form. So that was quite unique than the other kind of sessions. So this was quite a wonderful. And again, you have also discussed about the recent amendments and the notifications and circulars issued by the MCA. So that was quite wonderful. And we thank you on behalf of ACA for spending your time and giving us your valuable time on this particular subject. So thank you, Shikha ji. And thank you, the earlier resource person, Mr. Rajesh Chura. Thank you, Rajesh Bhaiya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So you can just leave, then we can quite end the session. Thank you.